What two angles did you guys come up with that add and subtract together to give you negative 5 pi over 12? Anybody come up with a pair? What pair did you come up with? So what equals negative 5 pi over 12? What two angles from our unit circle when you add and subtract together give you negative 5 pi over 12? There's probably more than one correct. Don't be shy. Yeah. Negative 3 pi over 12 plus what? I'm sorry. Oh, negative 8 pi over 12 plus. Good. Because what is negative 8 pi over 12 equivalent to? That's negative 2 pi over 3. Plus, and then what is 3 pi over 12 equivalent to? Pi over 4. All right? Could there be other pairs you added or subtracted together? Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, Anna.
Are we allowed to use like coternal angles to find?
As long as they're angles from the unit circle, and they add or subtract together to give you negative 5 pi over 12, you're in good shape.
Yeah, but can like we find a coternal angle for negative 5 pi over 12? And
So you mean, so like instead of saying negative 5, just make sure I understand you correctly. So adding 2 pi to that?
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay? As long as you pick an angle in the quadrant, you're good. Okay? So you could do 7 pi over 12. Yeah. All right, so are we good on that? So now, great. I'm going to go to my formula sheet. I want to find the cotangent of a sum. Wait a minute. Do I have a cotangent sum formula? No, but you do have a what? Tangent. So guess what you have to do with the tangent sum formula? You're going to have to do the reciprocal. So when you want to do secant, cosecant, or cotangent, you have to use its reciprocal and then take the reciprocal of that particular formula. So in the cotangent of alpha plus beta is just going to be the reciprocal of your tangent sum formula. So it's going to be 1 minus tangent alpha, tangent beta, all over tangent alpha plus tangent beta. So all you're doing is taking the reciprocal. So again, negative 2 pi over 3 is my alpha, beta is my pi over 4. So then the cotangent of negative 5 pi over 12 is going to be equal to 1 minus the tangent of negative 2 pi over 3 times the tangent of pi over 4, all over the tangent of negative 2 pi over 3 plus the tangent of pi over 4. We good so far? So now let me get back to the unit circle. I got to remember tangent of negative 2 pi over 3. Negative 2 pi over 3 is in what quadrant? 3, right? Because we're going the negative direction, so we're going to have to go clockwise. So in quadrant 3, is tangent positive or negative? Positive. So then the big question is, what's happening if the tangent of negative 2 pi over 3 is going to be negative what? Positive what? Square root 3. Times, what's the tangent of pi over 4? Tangent of pi over 4 is 1. All over the tangent of negative 2 pi over 3, we always establish as square root of 3 plus 1. So then when I clean this up, I end up with 1 minus square root of 3 over, and I'm just going to rewrite square root of 3 plus 1 as 1 plus square root of 3. Any questions on what I've done so far? Is this okay? Am I done? No. What do you have to do? You have to rationalize. So what do I have to multiply numerator and denominator by? I'm entering that lovely world of algebra land again. 1 minus square root 3. So when I FOIL the numerator, 1 times 1 is 1. Negative square root of 3 plus a negative square root of 3 will give you minus 2 square root 3. Negative square root 3 times negative square root 3 will give you a positive 3. All over. Again, you're multiplying conjugates, so outer and inners will cancel. So I'm left with 1 minus 3. So when I combine like terms, I have 4 minus 2 square root 3 all over negative 2. Can I simplify that? Yeah. I'm going to divide out negative 2. That gives me negative 2 plus square root 3. Okay. So now at this point, guys, you have to figure out in your own minds what's going to give you the most trouble. Is it the algebra, which some of you are going to struggle more with the algebra, or is it the pre-calc, recognizing the formula to use and remembering your unit circle values? Because really there's two things now you're having to throw together, your algebra skills as well as your, now the rig fight. Now I know why Ms. Berge gave you that algebra review to do. All right? Because you have to be able to do complex fractions and rationalizing those denominators. All right, any questions on that? Now, sometimes you have to work these problems backwards. For example, find the exact value of sine 20 cosine 80 minus cosine 20 sine 80. So again, basically, instead of, now we got to figure out, is this in the pattern of sine alpha cosine beta minus cosine alpha sine beta? So treat this as your alpha, this is your beta. So 20 degrees is your alpha, 80 is your beta. So looking on your formula sheet, I'm looking for a formula that will give me sine alpha cosine beta minus cosine. Are you guys having trouble seeing? Am I squished? Zoom in, chart. You can speak up if you have. Is that better? Okay. So again, 20 degrees is my alpha, 80 degrees is my beta. All right? So I'm now just recopying to try and match it up on my formula sheet. So cosine alpha, sine beta. So which formula on my formula sheet is in this pattern? Sine alpha, cosine beta, cosine alpha, sine beta. Sine what? Sum or sine difference? Difference. So this is coming from my sine of alpha minus beta formula. So you need to recognize which formula this is coming from. Which angle is my alpha? Which 20 degrees. So now plug in sine of 20 degrees minus 80 degrees. And what is 20 minus 80? Negative 60. So sine of negative 60 degrees. So unit circle, where is negative 60 degrees located? What quadrant? 4, sine positive or negative down there? Negative. So now negative what? It's going to be negative sine 60. Nope. Square root 3 over 2. Like I said, I mentioned this the other day. Get reacquainted real fast with your new best friend, the unit circle, because you're going to need them. Okay? Any questions on that one? So now look at number 5. See if you can recognize which formula for tangent this is coming from. Yeah, I have to refocus it. No, I have to refocus it. Anytime I zoom or turn a page, there we go. Obviously, it's coming from a tangent. The question is it tangent sum or tangent difference? Tangent what? Sum or difference? Difference. So alpha is my 40 degrees. 10 degrees is my beta. So again, this is coming from my tangent difference formula. So what I then need to figure out is what is the tangent of 40 degrees minus 10 degrees. So it's asked me to find then the tangent of 30 degrees. So 30 degrees is located in what quadrant? 1. Tangent's what? Positive or negative? Positive. So then tangent of 30 degrees is going to be what? Square root 3 over 3. Okay? So any questions on that one? All right, so now let's take a look how we're going to handle problems that are not on the unit circle. All right, so you have to be able to handle these problems on the unit circle and not on the unit circle. So we want to find the exact value on the following conditions. Cosine alpha is square root of 5 over 5, and alpha is located between 0 and pi over 2. So I have no idea what alpha and beta represent. Sine beta is negative 4/5. And beta is located between negative pi over 2 and 0. So what these are going to be are triangle problems. SOHCAHTOAs. That's it. What you need to do is you're going to have to draw two triangles. One for angle alpha, one for angle beta. So now look at angle alpha. Know where you're located. Get those GPSs back on again. Where is angle 1 located? Well, alpha is located between what two quadrantals? 0 and what? Pi over 2. So what quadrant is angle alpha located? 1. So draw your alpha triangle. What do they tell you about angle alpha? That the cosine is square root of 5 over 5. Well, going back to SOHCAHTOA, what two sides of the triangle does cosine represent? Adjacent and hypotenuse. So I can label that. Square root of 5 over 5. I just ought to immediately go ahead and find my third side because I'm going to need it. How can I calculate that third side? What theorem can I use? Pythagorean theorem. So I know that 5 squared is 25 is equal to square root of 5 squared, which is 5, plus b squared. So 20 is equal to b squared. So what's this third side of the triangle going to be? 2 square root of 5. That's what I know from my alpha. Okay? Now look at what I know about beta. Beta is located between negative pi over 2 and 0. So what quadrant is negative pi over 2 and 0 between? What quadrant am I in? 4. So now I'm going to draw my beta triangle. Going back to SOHCAHTOA, sine represents the opposite over hypotenuse. So my opposite side is 4, my hypotenuse is 5. Where do I put the negative sign? Opposite side in front of the 4. Your Pythagorean triple, what's this third side going to be? 3. Do I need to worry about a negative sign in front of the 3? No. Okay? So now what I want to do is I want to find the sine of alpha plus beta. So going back to your sine sum formula, your sine of alpha plus beta is sine alpha cosine beta plus cosine alpha sine beta. So now these aren't unit circle problems, so I've got to set up the ratios from the triangles that I've just drawn. So I want to find the sine of alpha. So going to your alpha triangle, the sine is the opposite over hypotenuse. So what is the sine of alpha going to be? The sine of alpha is going to be what? 2 square root 5 over 5. Times the cosine of beta. So now go to your beta triangle. What's the cosine of angle beta going to be? Looking at your adjacent over hypotenuse. 3 over 5. Plus cosine alpha. Well, they're already giving you cosine alpha, aren't they? You can look at the triangle, or it's given to you, isn't it? So cosine of alpha is what? Square root 5 over 5. Sine of beta they gave to you, or you can look at your triangle, SOHCAHTOA. Sine of beta is going to be negative 4/5. So any questions on the substitution that I've done so far? We're leaving the land of pre-calc. Guess what land we're now going to enter? Algebra land. How do you multiply fractions together? You multiply before you add, so you have to just multiply straight across. 2 square root of 5 times 3 is 6 square root of 5 over 25. Don't forget to multiply those denominators together. Plus, square root of 5 times negative 4 is negative 4 square root of 5 over 25. You know how to add fractions together. Can you combine 6 square root 5 minus 4 square root 5? Yes, they're like radicals. So 2 square root 5 over 25 is your answer. Okay? Any questions on A? All right. Let's go ahead and I want to do another tangent. Let's go ahead and let's do D. Tangent of alpha minus beta. So again, from my formula sheet, tangent difference formula is tangent alpha minus tangent beta, all over 1 plus tangent alpha tangent beta. So now, tangent alpha, go to your alpha triangle. By your SOHCAHTOA, tangent's equal to what? Opposite over adjacent. So tangent of alpha is going to be 2 square root 5 over square root 5. What's that going to simplify to? 2. So I have 2 minus Tangent beta. Go to your beta triangle. Opposite over adjacent. So what is the tangent of beta going to be? Watch your signs. Negative 4/3. All over 1 plus tangent of alpha we found to be 2 times tangent of beta, which is negative 4/3. Minus a negative in your numerator becomes a positive. When I multiply 2 times negative 4/3, that gives me a negative 8/3. So 1 plus negative 8/3. You have a complex fraction. Complex fraction tricks work for right when you're dealing with just numbers like the letters. What's your LCD here? Everything has a denominator of what? 3. Multiply everything by a 3. Make life easy on yourself. If you want to add those numerators together with common denominators, be my guest. If you want to get a common denominator, add those denominators together, be my guest. And then multiply by a reciprocal, be my guest. But you're taking something that could be done in 2 steps. Multiply everything by 3, that gives me 6 plus 4 over 3 minus 8. That gives me 10 over negative 5, which is negative 2. Okay? So again, simplify those complex fractions. Get to know that LCD trick. It's going to save you so much time. And it's going to narrow your window of algebraic mistakes and careless algebra. You want to kind of start now figuring out, how can I narrow the work so I don't make careless mistakes? And the LCD trick will do that. It's going to narrow that window for you so you don't make those careless mistakes. All right? So we've done problems with a unit circle. We've done problems not on the unit circle. Sometimes they mix and match both. So for example, cosine of theta is equal to 1/4 and theta is located in quadrant 4. Find the exact value of sine of theta minus pi over 6. Here's your alpha, here's your beta. So this is going to mix and match unit circle and triangle all in the same problem. This is your sine difference formula. So go to your sine difference formula. I'm looking at the sine of alpha, cosine beta, minus cosine alpha, sine beta. I labeled alpha with theta. So sine of theta, cosine of pi over 6. Minus cosine theta, sine of pi over 6. I know cosine and sine of pi over 6, but how the heck am I going to figure out sine of theta and cosine theta? I want to set up another what? Triangle. Because what are they telling me about the cosine of theta? Where am I located? I'm located in what quadrant? Where's theta located? 4. They're giving me the cosine ratio, which represents what 2 sides of the triangle? Adjacent and hypotenuse, so 1 and 4. How do I find the third side? I simply use my what? Pythagorean theorem. So what is this side going to be? Negative what? Square root of 15. Like I said, this is going to combine triangles and unit circle in the same problem. So now, sine of theta. It's not a unit circle, so where do I go to? I go to my triangle. If it's not a unit circle, it's a triangle problem. So what is the sine of this triangle going to be? Opposite over hypotenuse, that's going to be what? Negative square root 15 over 4. Unit circle, cosine of pi over 6. First quadrant is positive, so it's going to be square root 3 over 2. Minus cosine of theta they actually gave to you, or you can get it from the triangle, which is 1/4, times the sine of pi over 6, which is a half. So now I can multiply them together. Negative square root of 45 over 8 minus 1 over 8. Already have a common denominator. What can you simplify negative square root of 45 to? simplifies to what? Negative, reduce your radicals. Negative 3 square root 5 minus 1. All right. Now that my triangle's done, you guys go ahead and try B for me.